Hey guys, we're back again with another aircraft kit. This time we're going a lot smaller and we're going to be looking at a 1/144th scale aircraft with Academy's B-47 kit. Let's open our eye and take a look. So, starting off, now obviously, since we are dealing with such a small scale, a lot of details are going to be more obviously omitted due to their small scale, but despite that, Academy's done a decent job of capturing as much detail as they could. Easy option you can see here, and I don't know how well this will show up on camera, is you do have a decent representation of the compressor blades on the jet inlets, as well as some detailing in the main gears. And the landing gear themselves aren't terrible for this scale. Included on the sprue are several of the wing pylons and some of the components for the cockpit, which is pretty sparse, but again, given the scale, you're not going to be seeing much anyway. Also have our nicely rendered radar pods, tail gun options, and one of the nose options. We'll discuss that further later. Moving on to the fuselage halves, again, hand for scale. Now, despite being 1/144th, it's still a decently sized aircraft kit. And again, you can see more of the detailing, hopefully a little better on this set of front ends for the jets. Two different options for the bomb bays, the rest of the nacelles, and then obviously detailing on the fuselage halves is all recessed and quite nicely done. Again, so far, Academy's done a pretty good job with this kit, despite the small scale. We've got the rest of our blisters on this one, so as an additional nose option. This is another get into looking at your references for the exact one you're planning to build. Continuing on, we've got our upper wing halves. Again, hand for scale. It's not a tiny kit by any measure, despite the small scale. Again, detail is much the same. Should be quick and easy build on that front. Same here on the lower half. Nothing really to comment about. Now, and I've left these in here. I should have taken them out. My apologies. I'll just do that live on camera. Now, we have our canopy piece, which, again, and I'm hoping this will show up on the camera, is nicely detailed for the small scale. Last up, we've got our other nose option. Again, this is one of those things where you need to check your references, as the nose is one of the more visual areas you can look to see which model of B-47 it is you're building. Well, give me a second to get these back in, and we'll move on to decals. So, decals are very nicely done here. Very sharp colors. Quite impressive. Now, one decision that they've chosen to go with is here on these marking bands. Initially, I thought that was a misprint, but after going through the instructions, they left that space for the SAC insignias. This is one of those, I get why they did it, but I wonder how many people are going to react the same way I did upon seeing that and think, oh, I got a bad kit, this is a misprint. Yeah. It's one of those, I get why they did it, but it's debatable. Beyond that, everything else is great. I have no complaints with the decals. Now let's move on to our instructions. All things considered, this is a pretty straightforward build. The only complaint I have is we don't get any details for the navigator section. That section's completely omitted. Now, granted, depending on which version you're building, this is understandable because you're not going to see anything in there. But it is to be noted that if you're using the nose that has the additional windows, you're potentially going to see stuff in there. So that's going to be an area you may need to look at investing in some type of aftermarket option or scratch building. So getting back into the instructions, it's a pretty straightforward build. There's no real gotchas. Again, since we are, and when we get to the painting instructions, have a number of options to build, and Academy's done a good job of denoting which parts you need for which version. I'm happy with that. Again, as I noted before, you have different nose options depending on which version you're building. In all honesty, to look at my references, you should be able to build both an E and a B easily. The reconnaissance and more specialized versions, though, that I'm not 100% sure on. You may need some additional parts. But after you build up the fuselage, you then move out to the wings, building up your pylons, the engine nacelles, for doing landing gear, and proceeding to figure out which version you want to build, which you're given a large number. And this is just the first set, as we now have an additional inset of additional versions you can build. So, overall, I was pleasantly surprised by this kit. I was not expecting the level of detail you get. I was not expecting the options you get. Frankly, I think this is a great little kit. It's not overly complex. It gives you a lot of choice. I would say it's a good first aircraft kit to even go so far. Just because it's going to be one that the only area you might have some trouble screwing up is going to be the paint job because of the natural metal finish. That would be the only area you might have some problems with. Beyond that, though, there's no real areas that jump out at me as a potential concern. Just really smart engineering on this one. So that was a look at Academy's 1/144 scale B-47 kit. Great little kit. Highly recommend it. Until next time.